Coming up on F1 24/7 News, Sebastian Vettel is not re-signed by Scuderia Ferrari and will leave the team at the end of the 2020 season. Where will he go? And we talk about his contract offers for the future. Lewis Hamilton was considering a sabbatical year after the Australian Grand Prix was cancelled. What would that have done to him physically and mentally? And Formula 1 esports. How is it bridging the gap to international sports and opinions in the world? All this and more and the top stories on this episode of F1 24/7 News. The biggest news to come out of Maranello is that Sebastian Vettel, the four-time world champion from Germany, will not be re-signed by Scuderia Ferrari for the 2021 season. Sebastian Vettel, the four-time world champion, left Red Bull Racing, the team of which he won 4 consecutive world championships with, to join Ferrari and emulate Michael Schumacher, the most successful driver on paper, to win multiple world championships and then move to the Italian team and do it all over again. Michael, of course, winning 5 with the Scuderia in the early 2000s, and Sebastian Vettel, a fellow German, wanted to emulate that. But of course, that didn't work out. Though Sebastian Vettel has been in the title fight many years, including the biggest one of 2018, until the mistake at Germany cost a lead to Lewis Hamilton. Sebastian immediately impressed with the Scuderia, winning the second race of 2015 in Malaysia after a woeful final season with Red Bull Racing for the German. This season he was alongside Charles Leclerc, the young Monegasque driver. Sebastian had some good battles with Charles Leclerc, some altercations with team radio, but ultimately Sebastian came out with a win in Singapore, waiting over a year after his previous win in Belgium 2018. It was a good partnership with Charles Leclerc, but it might have led to the reason why Scuderia and Sebastian have not re-signed with each other for 2021. Though Sebastian has been offered 2 contracts by Scuderia Ferrari, both for different amounts of time and different amounts of money. Both have been rumoured to be rejected by Sebastian. The third one, however, though, was not a negotiation, and the team and Matteo Binotto, the CEO and team principal of Scuderia Ferrari F1 team, have decided not to sign Sebastian. In a statement given by Matteo Binotto, the managing director and team principal of Scuderia Ferrari, he said the decision was taken jointly by ourselves and Sebastian, both of which both parties felt like the best decision was made. Sebastian's worth as a driver was the best for the team, but ultimately it wasn't going to go on for one more year. Matteo Binotto also goes on to thank Sebastian for the races that he's done with the Scuderia, the amazing wins and pole positions, and the amazing time they've had on this journey from 2015 to their final season, which is this season in 2020. Now the main thing, of course, is if this was a full season, it might have played out differently. The extended wait for the season has made Ferrari doubt if Sebastian Vettel is the right person to partner Charles Leclerc for the future. Charles did an incredible season last year and is definitely a big prospect to win World Championships for Ferrari in the future. Signing a contract until 2024, a lot of the hope for Scuderia Ferrari lie with him. It could have been a conflict of interest, and last year we did see team orders getting in the way. What were Ferrari going to put on their championship hopes? Was it going to be Charles Leclerc, the youth, or was it going to be the experience of Sebastian? It looks like they've decided to go with Charles Leclerc, and that is one of the reasons why Scuderia have not signed him. Also as well, Luca Perini from Sky Italia has also come out and said that Sebastian would have played a wingman to Charles Leclerc in the coming seasons, as again Ferrari would have hoped that Charles would win the World Championships and not Sebastian. As you can see there, a wingman is not what a 4-time World Champion should do in any situation. And again, if Sebastian was going to be playing settled fiddle to Charles Leclerc, you can see why he would not want to have done this in this situation. But now we stand on the verge of where is Sebastian going to go. He said on many occasions that he still has title fights and aspirations for the future, and that he wants to win his 5th World Championship before he retires. Sebastian Vettel has been linked with many teams up and down the grid. Of course, how Formula 1 is rumoured, that's to go to Mercedes, to go to Red Bull. Someone probably even said Williams, though that is probably not going to happen. It could be Alfa Romeo, he could do a Kimi, he could still be in the title fight, but it's all down to Sebastian Vettel. This was his decision to make, and he has spoken that he will not be a front runner and driving for Ferrari anymore. But if it wants to be a title fight, it needs to be a top team, or at least a midfield breaking into a top field team. And 2 contract rumours have come around for Sebastian Vettel. The first team we're going to be talking about is Renault. Now, this has had no contract frictions with Sebastian Vettel in the future, but something that he might consider for 2021. This will be a move to, of course, the French team of Renault Sport. This is also linked with Daniel Ricciardo. Now, Daniel Ricciardo, of course, left Red Bull Racing, Sebastian Vettel's ex-team, of which they were team members in 2014, to move there to hopefully get himself wins, podiums, and extend his career. He might not have been very happy at Red Bull Racing, but the main reason he left was, of course, to win with Renault, a team that were moving from the midfield higher up the grid. 2019 shows that this wasn't the case for Daniel Ricciardo. No podiums were scored, no race wins, and he should have possibly stayed at Red Bull Racing, but that is a decision for later on. The decision might be taken that Sebastian might be going to Renault, either to partner Daniel Ricciardo or might be open to a swap where Scuderia Ferrari do get the Honey Badger, who does have Italian relations and of course is a good, credible driver on the grid, or possibly to partner himself and where Esteban Ocon won't be driving for the team anymore. There's no news on Esteban, but they are the two options. But Scuderia have said that they would be open to a driver swap in the future, especially with the Honey Badger. The second driver, or the second team, is McLaren. Now, this is a team that Sebastian has been talking to in the past. Posthumously, after 2014, he left Red Bull Racing. He was open to talks with McLaren for the future, but of course, at that point, the team weren't in a championship winner position like Ferrari were. McLaren would be a good move for Sebastian Vettel. It would help the team, and of course, shown from last year, where Carlos Sainz got the first podium in 2072 days for the team in Brazil, McLaren are definitely on the rise. A good partnership, a good team, and breaking out from the midfield back to the front as it used to be. Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz are the drivers for McLaren, and how Sebastian Vettel and Scuderia Ferrari and the rumours had been talking is that he would swap places with Carlos Sainz, so Sebastian would partner Lando Norris at McLaren, and Carlos Sainz would partner Charles Leclerc at Scuderia Ferrari. Fernando Alonso drove for Ferrari in 2010 to 2014, and it was a good Spanish partnership, winning no World Championship, but having a great fight in 2012, and Fernando Alonso is definitely a big part of the Tifosi. Carlos Sainz, of course, an admirer and fellow Patriot to Fernando Alonso, would love to go to the team and emulate his hero, and it would be a good thing to see Carlos Sainz having a good fight in the Scarlet Red Ferrari. Sebastian Vettel and Lando Norris would be a good partnership to pull the team forward. Of course, you have the youth of Lando Norris, someone who'd be willing to learn and possibly even play a second fiddle to Sebastian Vettel, the man with experience, who might be more comfortable to lead a midfield team back to the front. Of course, the driver swap with Carlos Sainz going to Scuderia Ferrari is what a lot of people would like to see. Also, would like to see Daniel Ricciardo go to Scuderia also. But these decisions will be made by the teams and, of course, ultimately the two drivers in question. Sebastian has been linked with loads of other teams, but these two seem like the ones that won Sebastian the most. It's exciting to see in this silly season, and we'll have to see what happens for 2021. We will be discussing this further on in this week's F1 Debate Show, and don't worry if we're not enough for you, there'll be a lot, and I mean a lot, of rumours and silly season talks this season before 2021. Let us know in the comment section below, where do you think Sebastian will go? Will it be McLaren? Will it be Renault? Where will it be? Will he retire? It's an interesting thought to see where the four-time world champion will go. Will he win his fifth world championship? Or what will happen to the man who went to Ferrari to try and emulate Michael Schumacher? Or at least win one world championship. One thing's been certain though, if this season did play out differently and we started in Melbourne, it might have played out differently, but in hindsight, you can say anything. Sebastian will not be driving for Scuderia in 2021. One seat is open. Lewis Hamilton hasn't got Sebastian to battle with anymore. And who will be in the number one seat, most likely the hottest seat in Formula 1 at this time. 2020 should have been the biggest season for Lewis Hamilton. He just won the 6th World Championship of his Formula 1 career in the USA, and this was the year that he was chasing down Michael Schumacher's records. 91 wins and 7 World Championships were definitely doable for the Mercedes driver. It was looking promising for Lewis Hamilton, but then the season went along and got cancelled. Now Lewis Hamilton, of course, is still in Formula 1, is still at a young enough age, and of course still has the drive, the determination and the car to win these World Championships in the future. But this season, it's not looking like that might happen. We're still not sure what will happen in terms of points and championships later on this season, but it'll have definitely affected him sitting around not knowing what was happening. After the cancellation of the Australian Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton was thinking about taking a sabbatical year out of Formula 1. Now, a sabbatical year has been taken by the likes of Fernando Alonso and other drivers in the past, whereas they sit out on the sidelines for 1 year. This can be to regain physical and mental strength. This can be to make way for another driver coming through the team. It can be a number of reasons. It can be even to try out another sport or another form of motorsport in the world. Lewis Hamilton was thinking about taking a sabbatical just to kind of recharge and take a year out of the chaotic, manic and hectic situation that is no Formula 1 and the reshuffling of the calendar, to regain himself and get ready for a hopeful normal season in 2021. Lewis would return to Melbourne 2021, a fully charged driver and ready to basically start the season like it will be 2020. Go for 7, go for 91, and win Mercedes the 7th Constructors' World Championship, himself the 7th, and so on and so forth. This was thought by Lewis Hamilton that he's only publicly came out and said in the last few days. Mercedes were also made aware of this, but of course no decision was made. It looks like this was just rumours and this will not happen, but it's definitely big to think about if Lewis Hamilton did actually take a sabbatical, what that would do to himself, both physically and mentally outside of the sport, Mercedes, and how this season would go about. As I've said there, the main thing is nobody knows what will happen in terms of the permutations. Will this be a championship year? And what will happen? And will Lewis Hamilton win? But it is a good thing to think about. Lewis Hamilton was about to take a sabbatical year out of Formula 1. The option is still open there as Austria is just about to get confirmed. Silverstone has been confirmed, but it's still a very strange season. Again, as said before, Lewis Hamilton is not doing any esports racing or anything like that, and no one really is sure about what Lewis Hamilton is doing in these situational times. So maybe this is affecting Lewis Hamilton. He, of course, wants to get back to racing, and as the most famous driver on the grid right now, he wants to get back to what he does best, which is winning and competing in F1. So maybe that does show that Lewis Hamilton is struggling at this time, and maybe a sabbatical would have been a better decision. But who knows? And with now looking like we have a date for the start of the Formula 1 season, it looks like these are just rumours and this won't happen, and Lewis will be on the grid alongside Valtteri, Toto, James Allison, and in the Silver Arrow, ready in Austria for the 2020 season. After the cancellation of the Australian Grand Prix, Formula 1 was at a bit of a loss about what to broadcast and what to publicise on its social media platforms. There was no actual Formula 1 to cover, but bring in esports. Now, we've talked about esports a lot. The esports series has been running for a few years now, but no Formula 1 has brought it to the front line. We've been broadcasting it nationally and on YouTube and everywhere. And with the emergence of things like Twitch where you can broadcast yourself, it is one of the most popular, if not the most popular, right now. Of course, we all want to see real racing back, but this is the next best thing. Formula 1 launched the hashtag Not the Grand Prix, and we started racing in Bahrain, with the most recent race at the Spanish Grand Prix. Many Formula 1 drivers from the current grid, including Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, Alexander Albon, Nicholas Latifi and George Russell have taken part. We've also seen Formula 2 drivers taking part. But the biggest one is the drivers that aren't even in motorsport right now, professional athletes from other sports. In the first race in Bahrain, we saw Sir Chris Hoy, the most decorated British Olympian, taking part, driving for Red Bull Racing. Since then, we've seen people like Real Madrid goalkeeper Thibaut Courtois, golfer Ian Poulter, and Man City striker Sergio Aguero at the Spanish Grand Prix. This has been great coverage for Formula 1. Now, F1 is always on Sky Sports News before, after a race, and the general sporting community of the UK, of course, will know Lewis Hamilton and know a little bit about Formula 1. But this now means that other communities, such as golf and the footballing community, know about Formula 1, watch it and keep in tuned, and a lot of people who were Man City fans and football fans will be keeping up to date with the Spanish Grand Prix, the virtual Grand Prix that is, of course, and hopefully throughout the rest of the season if Sergio Aguero stays in. Real Madrid fans will watch Thibaut Courtois in the races. Golf fans will watch Ian Poulter in the races, and so on and so on. Of course, we have many races left before the actual start of the season in Austria. And even then, we still might run an esports series. You never know. I think it would be fantastic to see an esports series race alongside the real Formula 1 races. Of course, this wouldn't feature the actual drivers as they will be racing, but maybe people like Poulter, Courtois and Aguero could keep going. You never know. But at the moment, it's great to see. And this is amazing coverage for Formula 1. The international brand, of course, has loads of fans all around the world. The YouTube page has more than 5 million followers. But it never helps to get more fans. A lot of other sports are doing this, and their popularity has been soaring as well, and we hope this can transfer to Formula 1. Maybe by the start of the season, we can get more fans who have been watching the virtual Grand Prix and cheering on some of their favourite athletes from Manchester City, Real Madrid, and the golfing community. I think it's been great to see, and for the next Grand Prix, wherever that will be, maybe even Monaco, hopefully we can see some bigger names from bigger sports joining in. One of the things for sure, it gets everyone talking when a Man City striker, most famously known for scoring against QPR to win Manchester City its title in 2012, drives in the Spanish Grand Prix for a Red Bull car, normally driven by Max Verstappen. That is the end of F1 24/7 news. Thank you very much for listening. Please leave in the comment section below everything I've said in this episode and what you think. Sebastian Vettel, what do you think about him leaving Scuderia Ferrari? And where will he go next? Will it be Renault, McLaren? Who will take his place? And everything on his situation. Lewis Hamilton, of course, and what would have happened if he did take a sabbatical year? How would that affected Mercedes, himself physically and mentally? And what would that have done to his title fight in the future? And esports. So for the virtual Monaco Grand Prix or wherever Formula 1 races next, what professional athlete would you like to see on the grid? Is it a footballer, a rugby player, an NFL player, a basketball player, a cricket player? Or is it from the F1 debate show? Nah, it's a joke. Let us know in the comment section below. It can be anyone. I mean, did anyone think that Sergio Aguero was going to be lining up alongside Alexander Albon at Red Bull Racing? I certainly didn't, but it did look cool as setup. Thank you very much for listening. Stay tuned for everything else that we have coming up on the channel. We have our F1 debate show on Saturday, which we will be discussing Sebastian Vettel's situation and who will be replacing him. Our Friday grid, which is coming up in Monaco for next week. Our F1 debate shows, of course, keep on track with our F1 24/7 newses. Our Agree and Disagree series, which will be coming very soon on the channel. And our interviews from F1 Online Decoded. We hope Formula 1 season resumes very, very shortly, but until then, we will still be going F1 and no F1, we'll be going at full speed. Thank you very much for listening. We've been the F1 Debate Show, and until next time, we'll see you later.